So one of my favorite genres, as most people, probably my favorite genre, right up there with Giallo, is the slasher genre, or some people call it like a subgenre, a horror subgenre. Me personally, it's a full-on genre. I'm not even thinking of it as a sub. It's a complete full-on genre, all in its own. So I am here right now, and I'm live, and we are going to talk about. Hey, Corey, I think you'll like this one, Corey. We're going to talk about collecting slashers, the slasher film, the slasher genre. Hey, Frederick, welcome. I'm a huge fan I'm a huge fan of horror. I'm a huge fan of movies in general, but slasher and giallo, film noir, that tends to be the three that I kind of go towards the most. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you some like different slasher ones that are in my collection, ones that I think should be in everybody's collection. I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk mostly on Blu-rays, though, because there are a lot of like kind of like good like little slash films you can find on DVD as well. Hey Juan, so what did you think of The Incubus? I personally really love that film. No pressure. So what do you think though, seriously? Yeah, so this is my I got some DVDs that I'm gonna talk about. I'm gonna tell you why kind of DVD versus Blu-ray sometimes when it comes to slasher. Hey Thomas. And slasher. You are not the same. Didn't that have like a dark ending? Did you see the ending coming? In case you don't know what Juan is talking about, Vinegar Syndrome put out an excellent movie called The Incubus. It was part of their. Was it part of their package last year? I don't think it was part of the package, no. But it was one of the. Yes, it was. I think it was part of the package for Halloween of last year. And I was on a fantastic podcast. He just dropped a new episode actually called Just This Podcast, actually talking about Vinegar Syndrome and Incubus and Blood Harvest, like those two films. Blood Harvest, I actually forgot to bring over. That actually is another slasher film. So that's one that we will talk about. Now, as you guys know, when I go into these collecting guys, hey, Cubic Lover. Ah, shoot. Hope I will catch you next time. Come back and watch it later. As you guys know, I'm not going to go like, this year this came out, this year this came out, that type of thing. I'm going to give you like some pretty much some tentpole ideas of like where to go when it comes to the slasher genre. I'm going to give you a lot of different examples. We're going to talk about them. Any questions that you have along the way, remember, if you're watching this live, this is an interactive video. You can talk back and forth to me. Have any questions, anything about any of the films, any of the releases, any of that type of stuff, we'll get into that as well. So I thought the easiest way for us to start this is that like Halloween was already mentioned, and if you were able to get the Scream Factory Halloween box set, definitely, you got your Halloween, you're good almost. You got to get the new one, but you're good. But if you're 4K and you're starting out, if you want to get horror in 4K and you want to get like a good slasher, hey Mark, how's it going? We are talking slasher films. You want to get a good one in 4K? That's Halloween. Oh, by the way, I did my first live tweet today. I'm not sure if you guys checked it out now, but I did my first live tweet. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm kind of not proud that I didn't know live tweet was a thing, because makes it easier for me. The 4K edition of Halloween that came out is actually pretty inexpensive. If you got a 4K blah 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 blah, first day in a tongue. If you got a 4K TV and a 4K player, you're coming for the right one, Mark. Then this one is a must-have. It is a great print of the film. It looks much in the same way it will look if you saw it in the theater. There are scenes in this and aspects of this film. Yeah, I got to do more live tweets. I actually like that. I was talking about Captain Marvel and the whole like Rotten Tomatoes. I guess it's a controversy. I don't think so, but I'm sure you guys have heard about it. The whole Rotten Tomatoes thing, where basically they took out the I don't want to see thing. Now, if like they could take out downvoting on YouTube and dislike things and stuff like that, all the negative things, I'm good with that, because let's chop down on the trolls. All right, so Halloween, fantastic film, great release. If you haven't checked this out, man, my hair is so messy. I I do recommend Halloween. Of course, Halloween, it is, it's kind of the godfather of slasher. No, it doesn't start there. So the slasher genre didn't start with Halloween, obviously. It got popularized with Halloween. So I guess one of the things we should be looking at is, I'm pretty sure, in this set right here. Now, you can buy the film on its own. If you can get this set, aside from slashers, it's a great collection. And that is the Alfred Hitchcock Masterpiece Collection. So the reason we're looking at it is going to be pretty obvious, really. What we're looking for in this collection, slasher-wise, is the granddaddy of all slashers, which is Psycho. And if you think that's the only slasher film, well, in a way, kind of the only slasher film, but the only film in the psychotic slashery style that he did, I would also consider Frenzy. Frenzy is more of a strangler, not much not a lot of slashing into it, but I do consider Frenzy to be more along the lines of the psychotic, the slasher genre style of film. And the only time I can really think, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, that Hitchcock really went back to that really dark territory. He asked about Psycho last time. Psycho, slasher. It didn't have the tropes of giallo, but yeah, it's definitely the it's kind of like the granddaddy of all slashers. One that I don't have, which I do recommend if you got the chance to pick this one up, it's a movie called Peeping Tom. It was a fantastic film, was really, really underrated in its day. Hey, Scotter, how's it going, man? Extremely underrated in its day was Peeping Tom. Definitely one to check out. So who put out the box set? Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Actually, this is, a regular one. Came out by, I think it's Warner Brothers Universal. Got the Universal logo on there. Now this one was, I guess, was a limited edition, but I've seen this out a few times. You can find this usually, or different iterations of this. Like in the UK has their own box set, very similar to this. Great set, but I don't want to go too far away from the. I would love to see a re-release of Peeping Tom. I don't have that one. It's one that's been on my want list for a long period of time, and I got a lot of slashers here that I haven't taken out. Like this is not going to show you every slasher in my collection. You're going to see a lot. You're going to see like a varied amount. But I'm going to show you some that I think pretty much are ones that everybody should have. So do you guys want to do the whole ton of Blu-rays first, or do you want to go with the with the DVD stuff? So it's Giallo. That is a fantastic Giallo. I can't believe I forgot it. For anybody that watched my Giallo guide, the movie that I forgot to mention, and I said it right afterwards to Scotter, hey Thomas, Blu-ray, is I forgot to mention The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward with Edwidge Finch and I think Hilton. Is it George Hilton? Or is it Thomas Milan? Dementia 13. That's definitely a slasher. But that does have certain giallo aspects to it. But that was a different video. But if you've never checked out The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward, it's one of my favorites. So I really can't believe I forgot it. But I did. So that's why you guys are here, to remind me of these things, because I will always forget something. So George Hilton, okay, perfect. So we're going to go with the Blu-rays first. I'm going to go through a lot of the regular stuff, and then I'll get into like kind of the more quirky stuff. I watched one last night which was really good. I'm going to recommend it. I'll talk about it when I get to it, by the way. So first up, for collection wise, obvious. This is an obvious. Pretty much everyone's got this one, and this is the Friday the 13th collection. Now, this did come out in a tin set as well, with with the patch and a little booklet. Kind of like a mini version of Peter Brack's book. Peter Brack did a book like on the Friday the 13th called Crystal Lake Memories. It was made into a documentary. This is a great set. This is actually really inexpensive. I think I paid like under $20 for this, and this has all of the films. All of the real films. You just picked it up. It is a fantastic set. It's got a lot of features on there, a lot more than it lets you than you realize. So pretty much, if you've ever seen the Ultimate editions that came out, those 1 and 2 disc editions of the Friday the 13th sets with the slip covers and looked really cool. Yeah, that's these on Blu-ray. There's all 8 of them. Now, some people will say, well, where's Friday the 13th, Jason Goes to Hell, well, Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X and Freddy versus Jason. Well, they're not that good. But no, I don't consider them part of the Friday 13th franchise. Anything that came after Part 8 is not part of the franchise for me. It's you know, they're fun films to watch, but oh no, my bank has an important message for me regarding my account. I must make sure that I talk to that right away because it's totally real. Just like the other day when I got news about my computer being broke down and I had to call them because. So if you're on there and you're calling people and scamming them, screw you. Luckily, we've gotten smarter. Make sure you get Friday 13th. And like you mentioned already, I got it here somewhere. Where do I get it at? The Elm Street Collection. Definitely one that should be in everybody's, that everybody should be picking up. What do I have these over here? So the Elm Street Collection, of course, belongs in every, you know, it's classic slasher. I mentioned Halloween. I mentioned Friday the 13th. This is a, you know, pretty much the big three when it comes to the slasher franchise. Again, this is a fantastic set. I also have the DVD edition of this one, which has like some great features on it that I don't think are included in this one here. But this is a really cool edition. It even has a couple episodes of Freddy's Nightmares, the TV show, which I would really like to see get like an actual full edition. But when you get like the Friday 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, so you pick up those two sets, you're well on your way to having like a kind of like a decent starter for the collection. Did you get the which box set did you go for the Friday the 13th? Did you have the, you know, from Crystal Lake to Manhattan, or did you get the yeah, I still don't believe you're real. Or did you get the one with the with the mask in it? I used to own originally the From Crystal Lake to Manhattan, which had extra bonus like commentaries and stuff on it. And then for some reason, I got rid of that one, and I got the one with the mask, the little mask. And then I found at a secondhand shop the bonus discs, the other discs that I was missing, that had different commentaries and different features on it that weren't on that set. So then I got those to kind of like, so I could have them all and add Crystal Lake memories to it as well, which was got to me by Opie actually here online. And then I of course upgraded to the Friday 13th one. So what's the difference with the thick and slim box? I'll check it out someday, Scott. I'll actually do a video with that. I do have the thick box over there as well, so I do have that one. You know, the original kind of one that everybody kind of like oogled was the, you know, at the time the Nightmare on Elm Street DVD box set was considered, you know, the greatest box set that was put out, and I would definitely go with that. I would say that it was Crystal Lake to Manhattan box set. That's a really good one, Thomas, because that actually has commentaries that aren't on the second box set. If you go and look into it, you're going to notice, like on part 3 for sure. I know there's a commentary in part 3 that's not included in the second box set. At the very least, there's around 2 commentaries that are included. This is the Scream set. Now there's a couple of these different ones to get. I do recommend making sure that when you get this, you get this on. Hey Mark, how's it going? We're doing slashers today. You get this on Blu-ray. The DVD does not include this here. And this is the bonus. It's 2 feature-length documentaries on the Scream franchise. 2 around an hour and a half long, you know, 98-minute documentaries on the Scream franchise. So really good stuff to watch. You can actually watch all 4 of the Scream films on here. And then I got to get the TV series down the road too. I actually did like that. The one kind of documentary one that I wanted to put in here. Now I could have put in like the what was it called again? There's a slasher documentary out there. There's a couple like Slice and Dice, and God, what's the name of the other one? That's a famous book too. There's 2 like slasher documentaries. The one I wanted to highlight is one that I don't see people talking about a lot, and it's the only documentary that I'm going to put in this list. There are a couple like slasher documentaries that I do recommend you check out though, and I will show you them at the end of the video. But I am going to show you here Psycho Legacy, which was done by Rob Gluza from Shockwaves actually, and he actually does. He's kind of a permanent like guest host on Just the Disc as well. Got Scream on DVD only. I do recommend. Those are really good like documentaries, really fun, and got to recommend them highly. But Psycho Legacy, this is for some reason it's a documentary that a lot of people don't have, and it's a great documentary. All right, so one company that does a lot of this stuff is Scream Factory. So let's get Scream Factory's slasher ones that I put on this list like out of the way first, because like these are the ones you guys are gonna like kind of know more than the other ones. And I like to get a little bit deeper into stuff that you guys may not be aware of. So, pretty simple stuff first. We're gonna Child's Play, definitely the way to get this one here. There's also a box set out there as well. I don't have that one. Is it official that they got the rights to Scream and Hellraiser? Because if that's official, thank you. Honestly, I think they do a good job of it. Jason Blum is really good with this type of stuff. And honestly, could we get any worse with Hellraiser? I don't think so. Anything right now is a major plus. Hey, Jesse, welcome, dude. So we're talking slashers. Child's Play, this edition here, I do recommend it. It's a great edition. A ton of features on here. A lot of new stuff. Great transfer from Scream Factory. And if you haven't checked it out, Child's Play is a movie. You should check it anyway. There's a new one coming out. If you want to see Child's Play, the right Child's Play to start, I guess, yeah, there. We'll start with that one. One of my favorite, unfortunately, not talked about enough slashers, is this one right here, Terror Train. Everybody talks about Halloween and everybody talks about Prom Night and stuff like that, and I will show you Prom Night and that. But Terror Train is awesome. The Cabal cut is coming out, yeah. Which I'm actually interested in grabbing if it's not too expensive. Because when it came out before, dude, it was like really expensive. It was like 80 or 100 bucks, something like that. And for both cuts, like with that big box set, yeah, I grabbed that for 80 or 100 bucks. But for the Cabal cut, which I don't have, that's like a $30 buy for me. Terror Train, fantastic one. If you can get the Scream Factory edition, this is the one with the slip cover. I think they still have the slips. This is an early one, so it's really hard. Actually, Scream Factory doesn't have this anymore, do they? This is a print from Scream Factory. Isn't there another company putting it, like Scorpion Releasing or something, is actually re-releasing Terror Train? Oh yeah, shame on you, Scream Factory. That was actually one of my most watched videos. That got people watching this channel. To be honest with you, I guess like rants and negativity stuff back in the day that'll do it. I was really angry about that, and I bought it too. Like I bought it. Not only did I buy it, but I bought it for my daughter for her birthday that same year. So I guess my rant subsided. But I still have people coming in and like finding my channel and finding that video in specifics, and getting really mad at me. I think it's 13th Wolfman should know for sure. Is it Scorpion that's putting out the new edition of Terror Train? Because this was the original Scream Factory edition. If you can grab it, definitely grab it. Love this one here. There's an interview. There's originally supposed to have been a commentary on this, but something like messed up along the way, which they couldn't get the commentary done, because there was a commentary originally announced for this one here, but it never did come. So maybe the new Scorpion releasing one, maybe they'll get the commentary done. Next up, it was Nightbreed release. That's over there, like in my box. The Burning. Oh, you'll love, Mark, that 4K Halloween. 2018 one. I don't have that one yet. I got to get it. I love the new Halloween film. I thought they did a great job. The Burning, the infamous 1982 slasher film. 1982 was a really, really good year for slashers. Like pretty much 80 to 84 really is kind of like the golden age for the whole slasher genre. Now it has like an uptick again later on, but you get like a lot of the big and like prevalent slashers coming out, or the groundwork being done from around that time. I knew you'd have the Arrow edition, Mark. The Arrow did a great edition of this as well, by the way, guys. So if you don't have this here. And it's a really fun one. I mean, this is done by Tom Savini. Tom Savini is a guy that was known, especially back then, for slasher films. Savini was kind of like the rock god for makeup artists. Anybody that was that were looking at slashers or movies back then had their Fangoria, their gore zones. You know, Tom Savini was highly promoted and shown in those magazines, and you knew his name more than you knew the names of the actors in the films. Which kid from Fast? Really? Actually, it's been a while since I've seen Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but I know you're right. I remember that. I used to have the Grand Illusion books 1 and 2. I don't have them anymore. When I got to talk to Savini a few years back, I actually mentioned that. I said if I would have still had the Grand Illusion books, I would have brought them there for him to sign. But I got to get, because they're put again on a coffee table, both of them together, coffee table book format. And I know there's another Tom Savini book coming out. I'm a huge fan of Savini's, and when I met him, I got to say I became a bigger fan because he's actually really nice. Great film. Jason Alexander's in this, and he's kind of cool. It's he's not the George guy. He's actually kind of a cool character in this. I actually like his character. It's a great cast of film for a slasher film. You actually care about the people that. Now, this is a thing that some slasher films do right. You actually, when they make you kind of care about the people that are getting knocked off. When you're like, oh man, I can't believe that. Oh really? I haven't heard Slipknot in a long time. I love stage fright, Frederick. Which stage fright are you talking about first? Are you talking about the Michael Suave one, or are you talking about the newer one with Meatloaf that was a musical? That had nothing to do with the first one. I actually really love the original stage fright film and that is a slasher. It does often get lumped into the giallo genre, and it does have aspects of the giallo, and I spoke about this in my giallo guide. But I would consider stage fright to be more of a slasher film than an actual giallo film. Though you can put it in either collection you want to. But yeah, the original one, I would definitely. That owl mask is creepy as hell. It freaked me out. And Savini's best work was a Maniac. And I guess Maniac, I don't have it. I should brought that one over. 80 to 87 is the golden age, but seriously. Yeah, that's the thing. You've got these characters now, and they're just and even back then sometimes, there was tropes, just, those little it's the jock character, it's the nerd character. And people often accuse Friday the 13th of doing that. Oh, dude, Thomas, you really need the 4K edition of Maniac. This is awesome. But Friday the 13th are actually really good, in my opinion, at actually making you care about the characters in the early films. Part 3 especially. Part 3 gets ragged on a lot, and Part 3 has some of the most likable characters of any Friday the 13th film out there, even though some of them don't make sense. Like the older couple, the Cheech and Chong style couple that are just smoking the weed. I'm like, how do they fit in with the rest of these people here? Are there the cool older folks that, that hooks them up with drugs and that type of thing? In Friday the 13th Part 3, we got a character, we got the only pregnant character, as far as I know, I can think of, in any of the Friday the 13th films. We have a really likable male lead character with Shelley. There's actually not a really unlikely, even the biker gang who actually comes in to mess with them, actually has a bit more to them than you would normally expect. Brunettes, yeah, that's perfect. That's a good one. Do I think they'll release a 4K Friday 13th box set? I do think, Jesse, that's an inevitability. One day, it will depend on who has the rights to it, on whether you're going to see a good box set or just a re-release of what we got on Blu-ray with hopefully an upgrade. But the rights issue is still underway, so that's the problem right now. Dude, Halloween's out on 4K, Jesse. Come on. And there's so much more coming out. Those Evil Dead movies and all that, that came out. Next up is, and I'll go back to this we'll go back to like the franchises after. I'll give a little bit more talk about some of the franchises. I couldn't find part 1. I know I got it. I can't remember where I got it put. But Slumber Party Massacre, this is part 2 and part 3. Aiming for 4K is announced. My God, I can't speak tonight. Slumber Party Massacre 2 and 3. See, this is like on Saved by the Bell, where they like kind of do that stop right there. 4K isn't just about the picture. It's not meant to make it look crystal clear. It's meant to make it look like it did in the theater. So if you're not seeing the seams and stuff already, you're not going to see them now. Like certain movies, like I thought Cannibal Holocaust was going to be ruined for that. And it's not one of my favorite films, by the way. But I've, when it came on Blu-ray, and when I got like kind of fancied up a bit. But I think that with 4K, think about like Tom 13th Wolfman. Let's think about like the sound, like the theater like level sound, and the right grain levels, and looking like it would if you were there back in the day, and you were, like me and you were there back in the day, more than likely seeing these in theater. So seeing them again, kind of like they would have been when we watched them originally in the theater, not a bad thing. So rethink 4K. I'll try and convince you. Slumber Party Massacre 2 and Slumber Party Massacre 3. Somebody called this the feminist slasher one. That's kind of stretching it. But it is done by female directors and a female author. I think for all 3 of them. For the first one at least, all 3 of them have female directors, not that much. I'm not sure about if all 3 have female authors as well. Originally, I think the first one was meant to be like a satire of the slasher genre, but Roger Corman did it in a way that it was... did you really? That it was just like kind of fun, like slasher films, and it kind of peeved the director and writer a bit, but they went with it. This is what people usually look at. Yeah, perfect, thanks. When they say, when somebody says, well, those slasher films are totally misogynistic, and you think back to those Siskel and Ebert days, which some of you guys didn't have to live through, but older people like me and 13th Wolfman, we had to go through the whole Siskel and Ebert like rage against what they call dead kid films, which is otherwise known as the slasher genre. Siskel and Ebert pretty much made their career. Like Ebert was a great writer anyway. Siskel and Ebert was a good reviewer. I don't think they were douches, really. I mean, I understand what they did. I was so pissed at the time, but I really loved like Roger Ebert's like review style. He's a great writer. Like if you ever read his books or reviews, even when I don't agree with him, man, he can write. I used to Gene Siskel tended to be more close to what I did, more sleaze. Yes, but I think at the time what they did was they picked up on something. And I don't think it was necessarily the best way to do it. Leonard Maltin's fantastic. And he's done so much for film, man. But their whole against the slasher thing, I really think that was like them hooking onto something, realizing that it was getting a bit of an uproar and getting a bit of a rise, and getting them on shows and that. They did that. Don't think just Silent Night, man. They did that for Friday the 13th. They gave out Betsy Palmer's address and that for Friday the 13th. So people could contact her for acting in one of those horrible slasher films. So they did some questionable stuff back in the day. And I'm sure a lot of it was, if we look back now, it was marketing. I often wonder about that. How many people saw those films? Because Siskel and Ebert went against them. Yeah. I Spit in Your Grave is one that really needs to be looked at again, because that's the director behind that and the story behind that film. He definitely, his intentions were completely in the right place when it comes to that. Now, that being said, I can understand people going in to watch movies like Last House on the Left or I Spit in Your Grave or stuff like that and being very bothered by them. And it being something that really affects certain people in a specific way. So I'm kind of glad that there's reviewers and people out there that'll say, maybe not to trash it, but will say, this may not be for you. This may not be the type of movie you want to watch. This may trigger some bad memories. And I have met some people who actually appreciate the film, but once they saw it, it really kind of bothered them. Yeah, Jason X. Jason X is fun. But Slumber Party Massacre 2 and 3, great films. This is more of like a Nightmare on Elm Street style slasher film. This one's really, really cool. This is probably my favorite of the three. I love Slumber Party Massacre 1. I actually like part 3, and a lot of people don't like it. Oh man, you saw all the Saw Nights in theater? I know. I do unfortunately know the Mayor Zarchi's story, and it's sad that that's the way it happened. But at least it inspired him to do something about it, and I really respect him for that. And if you don't know it, guys, it's something to look up, because I Spit in Your Grave wasn't just the guy, the director of the film of I Spit in Your Grave, the side right here. He basically what happened is he was out and he came across this girl who'd just been a victim of sexual assault. And he went with her, brought her to the hospital. The police came by to question her, and he was so disgusted with the way that she was treated and the way that they spoke to her and the way that they talked to her, that the movie I Spit in Your Grave actually is a product of his outrage for the way that she was maligned and mishandled when he as he watched there, in complete bafflement and shock that a victim would be treated this way by the cops. And so yeah, that's where I Spit in Your Grave comes from. That's the story that 13th Wolfman. There's more to it, but that's what he's yeah, she was treated like are you sure? Just recently there was a court case done where there was a violent sexual assault happened, and the guy got 2 weeks or something like that, which is ridiculous. The Other Woman was a better title, actually. But the distributor, you're right, the distributor did change it to I Spit in Your Grave. And there have been other movies that have come out since. There's a whole line of films that capitalize onto I Spit in Your Grave. I Spit in Your Grave, I Rip Your Flesh. There's a whole bunch of them. I used to have some, but these here, check them out. They're really fun. Great one by Scream Factory. What's really good about this is there's extended editions of both of these films, and you guys are mentioned some really interesting stuff, by the way. There's a documentary called Sleepless Nights Revisiting the Slumber Party Massacre. It was originally a 3-part documentary on the DVD. Demi Moore on the cover of which one? Oh, you mean yes. I've heard too that is Demi Moore on the cover of I Spit in Your Grave. She was the model for it. Obviously not in the film. That was, let's see, my God, I'm trying to remember. Camille Keaton, right? From What Have You Done to Solange? It's been a while, but I think I got that one still correct. Another great slasher double feature is X-Ray and Schizoid. Now, as you can see, Schizoid has a lot to do with the last thing that I mentioned, which is the giallo genre. Both of these films have some great cast. Now, if you've never seen Schizoid before, this is when 13th Wolfman talked about a movie, becoming so clear that it can affect the film. Schizoid kind of does that because there's a scene. This is a murder mystery. This is a slasher murder mystery. It's very much a giallo type film. I think it's her, actually. I really do. Because of the clearness of Schizoid, you actually can see the killer when you're not supposed to at the beginning of the film. So don't look too closely, or it's completely ruined for you when the killer kind of looks in the window at the beginning of Schizoid. Both these are fantastic films. This one is much more of an exploitation film than Schizoid is. They're both, the slasher exploitation stuff. But if you want to take, like, here's Leonard Maltin called this Schizoid a lurid slasher. We got Mariana Hill, Klaus Kinski, Craig Wasson, Donna Wilkes, Flo Garish from Don't Answer the Phone, and Christopher Lloyd in Schizoid. So that's a great cast for a slasher film. We also have X-Ray on here, which is another fantastic little film. This one is much more cheesier, or Horror Hospital actually. And there's actually an English film called Horror Hospital as well. I'm guessing that's probably why the title was changed. Again, really fun. Barbie Benton is in this one. She makes it, but the guy that plays the killer is hilarious. There's a couple of sequences where he's got this, like, you just got to see it. You just got to see X-Ray to believe it. It's good to have this edition here. I had the DVD edition of this one, and the Blu-ray actually has an extra interview on it that wasn't on the on the DVD edition, so I upgraded it. Hey Chet, welcome, dude. We're talking slashers. Another really cool slasher, and I missed that on that. Barbie Benton, I love Barbie Benton. I heard you, Barbie Benton could have, but I missed the rest of that. Bad Dreams, Visiting Hours. These are some earlier ones. Definitely, I still think within the slasher genre, especially Bad Dreams. Bad Dreams got a cool mystery to it as well. If Richard Lynch is in Bad Dreams, Richard Lynch, watch anything Richard Lynch is in. He's just really good. I really like Richard Lynch. Visiting Hours has one of the great psychos in Michael Ironside. Michael Ironside is one of those Canadian actors that can just really dive into his deep, dark side. And if you ever, she definitely could have done more if she stayed in acting. She was gorgeous, and she just had that personality to her. If you ever thought of like a character who can play like a super misogynistic character, Michael Ironside was brilliant at that. No, Bad Dreams is the one where this girl's from like a Jennifer Rubin. She was in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Dream Warriors. Right on, Mark. Bad Dreams is where her mom that was in a cult that was run by Richard Lynch. Somebody asked me who put out that Black Christmas edition. It's a Canadian edition, actually. But Richard Lynch basically is the leader of this cult, and they're drinking, basically a Jonestown type cult. They're drinking this stuff, being caught on fire type of thing. And she runs out. She runs away, like she's a kid, she runs away, and the cult's like, the rest of everybody else in the cult's killed. But she starts seeing Richard Lynch, who's supposed to be dead, around the hospital that she's in, kind of haunting her. And then murders start to happen. And she's not quite sure if this is if Richard Lynch has come back, or something even more devious is going on. You got to watch it to find out. I will always recommend this film, and until you pick it up, every one of you, I'm going to recommend it again, and again. Let's not give it away, chat. Let's not give it away. It actually has a really neat twist. I really like that film. Jennifer Rubin is beautiful. Jennifer Rubin, of course, would be in movies like Nightmare on Elm Street, and one of my favorite kind of underrated little thrillers called Crush. Also put up by Scream Factory, actually, with Carrie Elwes. Kind of, sort of loosely based on a true story. Silent Rage is definitely the closest thing to a slasher film that Chuck Norris did. Hero and the Terror also kind of ranges in the slasher style genre, but Silent Rage literally is Kung Fu meets Michael Myers years before Busta Rhymes came around. And it's a brutal opening. If you've never seen the movie, I don't have it here, guys. If you've never seen the movie Silent Rage and you like slasher films, yes, 10 to Midnight, definitely a slasher film. It can, fits along the thriller genre, but that's the thing. I do consider 10 to Midnight a slasher film, and a good one with Charles Bronson. So there you go. Silent Rage gets you Chuck Norris and a slasher. 10 to Midnight gets you Charles Bronson and a slasher. And I heard there's a really good commentary on that new 10 to Midnight disc that Scream Factory put out. So I actually have the Twilight Zone edition. So I may have to upgrade to the Scream Factory edition, get the Scream Factory one as well, because I need the commentaries. Next up is Hell Night. Now, Cobra's more of an action film. I get what you're going there, but dude, you just sort of. I love All the Colors of the Dark. It's one of my favorite Martino films. I won't tell you anything, but it's different. It's weird. It's not your typical one. It deals with like different aspects. Like when I said there are films of the giallo genre that can cross over into like more fantastical elements and stuff like that. Definitely does that with All the Colors of the Dark. Some people find it kind of a strange one when they get into it because it's not the most like straightforward storyline, linear thing. But definitely give it a watch. Like give it a few watches. Let it kind of sink in. I think you're gonna like it. Let me know what you think, by the way, when you watch it. Hell Night, fantastic. 110% recommend this one here. You think Scanners? See, for me, I actually it is either Visiting Hours. There's 3 movies that really hit me with Michael Ironside. Well, 2 of them are movies. Visiting Hours is one. Watchers, actually, his role in Watchers, the movie Watchers was really, I really like that, and his role in Watchers was awesome, because that, you know, the sequence I'm talking about. There's a scene in Watchers where you find out who the third monster is, and the third, like the other escapee is, and it's really, really well done. It always stuck out to me. But me, I guess I remember as Ham from V, because I grew up watching the series V, and, you know, seeing the miniseries, and then, you know, Ham was in the series V, and, you know, V the final battle. So I kind of remember him from that as well. That's, you know, I always think of like him from those. Yeah, Hell Night, great slasher film. Great interviews. Everybody, like, when you want to see, like, you'll see when you see like 1 or 2 people are interviewed, or sometimes they'll have the cameraman or one of the actors. No, every actor that's pretty much available that's still alive, like, gets interviewed in this film. That's really cool. So you can see that these actors really did like that. Hey, Darren. But definitely check this out. Did somebody ask about Total Recall? No, it is amazing, chat. You really did? Because it's not for roofer? Well, he's a fantastically well-acted roofer. He's a thespian roofer, then. I mentioned these on it before. This should go without saying. I don't have Valentine yet, but I'm hoping that one's coming for my birthday. But Urban Legend and Urban Legend Final Cut. Very different slasher films in the same one, but they're both cool slasher films. Urban Legend is a fantastic one done by Rituals. Is a slasher, but in a different way. It's kind of like the backwoods slasher, more the way like, you know, Deliverance is. It's kind of its own subgenre. Michael Ironside's an awesome guy. Like, it just hands down, like, he's one of those awesome dudes. I've never had the chance to meet him yet, but he's one of the guys that I really do want to meet. Urban Legend, fantastic one by Jamie Blanks. If you don't have this one, I really do recommend it. The second disc on this is incredible. You will get new respect for everybody on this film by watching Urban Legend, by watching that second disc. Next up is Final Cut. This one gets maligned a lot. A lot of people really ragged on this one. And basically, not because it's a bad movie, but because it's not Urban Legend. It doesn't deal with Urban Legends in the same way that the first one does. There are some really there's one specifically brutal murder sequence in this movie, which is kind of the kidney, the waking up in the bathtub thing. You're going to be meeting Jennifer Morrison? Well, can you tell her that I think she's awesome and she did amazing in the film? If you remember that. Very cool film. See this one here, this is pretty much, hey kitty, this is pretty much Killer in a Michael Kors coat. I say that because I have a huge Michael Kors coat for winter that I actually thought about wearing for this video. Actually, I didn't at the last moment, but I was going to. And Killer in one of those masks that you wear when you're fencing, which I haven't done in a long time, since high school, I think. Last time I did any fencing. most of the fencing I did was like with posts and stuff like that. So yeah, I got my bubbly today. Hills Have Eyes. You would consider the Hills Have Eyes kind of a slasher, but it really is kind of like that. Again, it's in its own little like subgenre. But I will consider the Hills Have Eyes because there's one that I'm going to talk about as well, like another franchise that some people often ask me about. Actually, I don't. I haven't seen Iced in a long time. Is Iced out? Wait, did Vincent put Iced out? Because if they did, I need that. It was really nice that somebody actually mentioned Vinegar Syndrome. Like I picked up some Vinegar Syndrome because they watched my channel, which was really cool. Anytime I see like a comment on Facebook or something like that or on Twitter, it always like warms my heart. Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. It's a rumor? Oh, definitely. 100%. Just don't even think about it. Get these here. Good point. More of a canon film. So you'll consider that 13 Wolfmen more along the Rigorio, Deodato, or Umberto Lenzi style stuff than you would like, say, like an actual slasher film. Also makes you wonder when you think about Wrong Turn. Why do you think about that one? Because that one does like lend itself to cannibalism, but it also lends itself to a lot of the slasher tropes as well. So sometimes there are certain films that are going to like go over the genre. Yes, you should. And I'll tell you right now why, Jesse. Aside from the fact that it's a really good transfer of the film and you get the garbage day sequence, the documentary on it is awesome. And I've mentioned it on here before, but they go through it and they really go deeply, they deep dive into what it was and how they made like Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. But for me, the heartbreaking scene, I've said it on here before, is basically they're interviewing everybody and it's all fun and everybody's super passionate and really happy about everything that they did and the success that it got later on, except for one person. That's the guy that's the main guy. And when he says, you know, I was making films, I had dreams, and he stops. I had dreams. It still hits me. It hits me hard, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. So I brought over some here. By the way, I got others that I'm going to grab afterwards. I'll tell you. I'll get to the wrong turn ones actually, guys. So of course, everybody needs these. There's no Sleepaway Camp 1, 2, and 3. If you don't have them, yes, you need them. Some people really don't like part 1, but they love parts 2 and 3. I think that you should have them all in your collection. I think Felissa is really good as Angela. This definitely has probably some of the worst acting out of the 3 Sleepaway Camp films. Not as bad as Return to Sleepaway Camp. If you want to, you can take a pass on that one. If you want to like not watch either Sleepaway Camp film, you can't say that about 3, Darren. Come on, man. Like 2 and 3 were actually filmed at the very same time. I like 3. It's not as good as part 2. It's definitely the weakest of the original trilogy before Return to Sleepaway Camp came out, and that's a dumpster fire. And I love the actors that worked in that. I often wonder what they did with like we did with the guy that played Alan. Yeah, he was actually was he one of the cooks? I think James Earl Jones' dad was. But the guy that plays Alan in Return to Sleepaway Camp, I wonder about the direction behind it. Because he's supposed to be the Angela of the story. He's supposed to be likable, but they make him a bully, and they make him very unlikable, and then they try later on to make him likable, but it doesn't really work because they keep like pushing it in like different directions. Are we supposed to think he's the killer, which is we really know he's not because they didn't do the best makeup job when it comes to who the killer actually is. It's really obvious when she walks on screen, and it's nothing to do with her acting ability. But when she shows up, you're like, has a great spring mustache. But yeah, Slumber, Sleepaway Camp, definitely. Sleepaway Camp 2, this is my favorite of the three of them. Poor Alan, poor guy. Like, I wonder if he's done stuff other than that. Like, you know, I'm sure he's probably a decent actor. It's just, you know, it was a badly written film. Sleepaway Camp 3 does things different. I didn't like, much like Darren, I didn't like Sleepaway Camp 3 when I initially saw it. I really didn't like it. It took me a while to kind of get into it. And it was when I watched them back to back that I kind of got it. That I got to see Angela as the camp counselor. She won't acknowledge these films. Like, she's a serious, like, photographer. And she's taken that part of her life, you know, she's pretty much closed the door on that part of her life, you know, whether or not I agree that she should or not, that's, you know, that's not, I'm not the person who did the films. We don't know behind the scenes how she feels about, like, certain things, maybe certain aspects of the films, of the filmmaking. Maybe it's not just the fact that they're slasher films, there could be something else that we don't know about. But, you know, she's never really talked about or acknowledged the films after they were done, which is a shame because she's a really good actress and she really kills it in the role. Like I was saying before, they flipped the switch when it comes to Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. In the second one, she's a camp counselor. In the third one, she's actually one of the basically there's a joke out of it. She's one of she's one of the kids going to camp. She's one of the campers. And they say, wow, you look kind of old for a camper. And these are like kind of like inner city kids like going to camp. And she's like, yeah, I had a hard life. But I'm sure Bruce was proud of her. All right, so we got a couple of just more regular Arrow ones here that I'll show you guys quickly before we go into what I consider some of a bit more of a deep dive. And anything that I'm showing here, I definitely recommend. Oh yeah, Renesmee is cute. So these are ones that, see, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I don't have here on this list because, you know, I don't really think of it as a slasher film. I know a lot of people do, they put it in the slasher. Like, some of the sequels I would consider more, like, let's like Psycho. The most slasher Psycho is Psycho 3. Like, Psycho is definitely, you know, it's the granddad of all slashers. But in, like, as what a slasher would become, what a modern day slasher, modern day for me was like 80 slashers, would become, Psycho 3 is the closest to that. It's the, like, Psycho 2 is a thriller, but Psycho 3 is an out and out slasher film. You know, it's got the sleaze and the exploitation. Psycho 3 goes, like, if you want to know the Psycho movie after, so it goes into slasher territories. It's 3. 3 definitely goes into that territory. And much like I think like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you know, kind of skirts the slasher thing, but I think it's kind of its own genre. Basically, it's kind of like the you know, the backwoods genre of the slasher. It's kind of a sub-genre. I do think that a couple of his other films really do lend, like Tobe Hooper's other films, do lend themselves to that. And there's, of course, the Funhouse, which is a fantastic little underrated one. This is this one here is the Arrow video release, and don't you just love the artwork on this? Because I really, really do. Now, I can't remember the artist that does this, but he does these really, like, amazingly sexy women on these covers. He actually did one for Inferno too, which what I call the butt cover, if you've ever seen it. I totally, if I missed what you said there, I do apologize. The thing is that sometimes the comments like fade in and out so fast. Yeah, it's a shame that when people actually like dismiss the Psycho films because they were really good. You mean Devin Whitehood? You mean that Whitefield did this one? I'm not quite sure actually. I'd have to look into it, and let me see if these put it in the. Because usually there's like one of these things. So I will check the booklet that came with Funhouse is written by Kim Newman, and we all love Kim Newman, or we should if we watch features. But it doesn't tell me. I'm sorry, guys. I'd have to look it up, and you own the Arrow Funhouse Blu-ray. That's a really good one. Another one that I do consider a slasher film that some people don't is Eatin Alive. Again, that kind of skirts it. I remember the John Larroquette show. But I'm a huge Neville Brand fan. I always have been. He's just one of those character actors that I've always liked. And he's great in this film here. Of course, we have like future Freddy Krueger in this one as well, Robert Englund. Again, Marilyn Burns comes back for this one. I do recommend Eatin Alive. It gets looked over a lot because of the fact that it's that movie that he did after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's nothing coming out after Texas Chainsaw Massacre is going to compete with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It has to be taken as its own thing. It really, really does. It's a shame because it is such a good, fun little film. It's pretty much like a slasher / Southern Gothic style film. Next up is one that everybody here will know, and that is Madman. Now, easy comic look. Actually, it's really cool. Thank you, Corey. Nice. Did I see that song yet? Corey does like music stuff on here. I have no music talents, but Corey does, and he does like some music on his channel, which you'll never see on my channel because I like go to Corey's channel for music because you don't even want to hear me sing. But Madman Mars in this one right here, really good film. Actually, the guy that directed one I'm going to talk about in a little bit called Silent Scream, which came out recently, and I do recommend you pick it up. Worked on Madman actually. No, Silent Scream. Was it Silent Scream? No. A guy that worked on was the Vinegar Syndrome one I watched. Slasher University. I'm not saying no Canada. I don't even know all the words. I'm Canadian. What a shame. Eh? Yeah, so the guy that worked on Splatter University, actually, I think it was, I'm not sure if he worked in the art or editing, but yeah, he worked on this one as well. So if you've seen Splatter University recently with the Vincent release, which you should get, he also worked on Madman as well. If I ever do like a deep dive into Splatter University, I got a lot to say. One thing that I forgot to mention yesterday, what was it yesterday? The one I did the Jello one, is the, it's worth checking out. It's a fun one. What's really good about the celluloid shot is that it has a really good long 87, 89 minute documentary on the film, which is like kind of more fascinating than like the film itself. Even if I didn't like this, I would have collected it for a documentary. But it's kind of cool. It's different. It's unique. It was done in '82, the same time that The Burning was done in Friday 13th Part 2. It was kind of the triumph, like the three of these. It's a fun film. There's some cheesy parts, but it's really fun. It's really cool. And the sequence with the hood of the car, gotta love it. And of course, everybody talks about the scene when in the hot tub. Vinegar Syndrome has come out strong this year. So has Severin, actually, with Next of Kin, which I don't have, but it's an excellent little Australian thriller that I do have to pick up. A really good film, if I remember correctly, if it's the one I remember. But yeah, so the guy that worked on Splatter University actually who directed Splatter University actually worked on this. Sometimes you forget, man. I do lists, as you know, 31 Pound. I do lists all the time. I think I saw that list actually. And you can't remember everything. You just try and do the ones that stuck with you for that time. I was originally going to wear my Nightmare Run Out, my Halloween shirt and all that, to be all I haven't talked, I have mentioned the Hemispheres of Horrors box set. I'll give that after in a little bit. I do. That is one that I'm really looking into. There's a special film on there called the Torture Chamber of Dr. Sadism, which actually stars, well, sorry, has Christopher Lee in it, which is one that I am looking for. So I really want that set. Yeah, perfect. There you go. These have regular editions now. I think they originally came out with the special editions, and this is Blood Rage. Strongly recommend this. Best Thanksgiving slasher ever. Next up between this one, there's a TV movie like from the 70s called Home for the Holidays, which is a really good Thanksgiving slasher, but Blood Rage is my favorite Thanksgiving slasher. Really cool stuff. See that? That's not cranberry sauce. Right here is a mutilator. Oh yeah, if you guys aren't sub to 13, what man, you're missing out. Yeah, but definitely, guys, you got to have these two. These are two premier slasher films from these here. This is Mutilator, the slipcover edition. Of course, you know this is a regular edition as well. You didn't upgrade to the Arrow edition, but it has like Nightmare on Shadow Woods, like the re-edited theatrical cut of it, which is kind of cool. But either way, dude, these are worth having in your collection. Blood Rage is such a fun, weird film. It's one of the slashers which has the twin trope, where basically there's twins. One of the twins is a killer type of thing. It's something that comes up in a lot of slasher films, like The Initiation and like other films like that. Shit, I may have given away a twist on one film. I apologize. Mutilator, again, Mutilator is one of those movies that where I mentioned it earlier. Actually, I did. I saw a lot of these. I'm older, so Cutthroat's 9, more Western than really slasher, but I can see what you mean. More of a gore Western, I'd say. I picked by axe, bye. Yeah, isn't that a great tagline? This is one of the ones where I talk about where they make you like the cast. So anybody that gets killed in Mutilator, you actually care. You actually care that the person gets killed, and that's the key. That's the thing that not enough slasher films would do later on. Basically, they just put people out there. Mutilator is an amazing slasher film, Corey. You're exactly right. Now, next up is this one right here. This is Silent Scream. Now, Silent Scream is an interesting history. This one's put up by Scorpion Releasing. It was recently released. I think you can get it with a slipcover from Ronin Flicks. I'm not sure if it's still available. I know it was. I have the retail edition of it. I think all the features are the same. Now, this has an incredible cast in it, by the way. We've got Avi Schreiber, Cameron Mitchell, Rebecca Balding, who actually acted on the series Soap, comedic series Soap. We also have Barbara Steele and Yvonne DiCarlo and Brad Redford, who actually acts in a lot of stuff. So definitely, this one's really worth checking out. It's really different. It's an odd little film. That's a really nice slip, Mark. You really got a good deal there. Hamilton Books looks like it's awesome, except for the fact that you don't send to Canada, which really peeved me off. Darren, you made the right decision by subbing to 13th Wolfman. He's got great stuff. What's really cool about this film here is it was kind of two films. So Silent Madness actually is a slasher film, but this predates. It actually initially kind of predates Halloween, really. I think originally, like some of the filming of this was done in like 77 or 78. I know that it predates original filming was in 80, then I think 81. Anyway, so this film was completely made. Silent Scream was made, done completely, and they watched it, and they didn't like what they had. So they got in two guys, the Wheat brothers, and the Wheat brothers came in They looked at the film. They said, "Well, we'll do our best to salvage." They said, "Well, can you like do some pickup shots, like kind of make this film salvageable?" Uh, yeah, I know. But what happened is they looked at the film. They said, "This really isn't good. We really don't like where this is. What we can do is we can put it in a studio and pretty much do some massive reshoots." And they retooled the script completely. The script to Silent Scream, what it was and what it becomes, is completely different. They brought back the 4 original like teen cast members to do their parts, but everybody else was pretty much recast. They realized that they could get Cameron Mitchell, Avery Schreiber, and Yvonne DiCarlo for a couple days. I think they got like Barbara Steele for 4 days. Yeah, there's like 12 minutes, like altogether, of this film in the original film in there. Now, what's really cool is that there's a part in this movie where she's watching a horror film on TV, and the movie she's watching is actually scenes like pretty much exercise sequence from the actual original Silent Scream film. There's some great like interviews and on talk on this set here. Definitely check this out. I really recommend it. It's a great little thriller. It's a bit of a slow burn, but Barbara Steele is awesome. She's awesome in this movie. Great little cast. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this. But the killer part is they mentioned what the original like plot line to this film was. I want to see that plot line made. Yeah, like this was actually, that's the thing, Darren. This was like basically made, back in the day, and they actually had to reshoot everything. The film itself, although it like is listed as 1980, I don't think this came out till like 82 or 84, somewhere around there. So basically, after it was shot, like it took a while before it actually got distributed. The original director of the film, Denny Harris, he was still the director, but the Wheat Brothers kind of took over, and I guess they're famous for things like, oh God, what was it they did? If remember Pitch Black, Chronicles of Riddick, that whole series. Well, that's the Wheat Brothers. They're the guys that that created the Riddick character. They did Pitch Black, but this is before that. This is way before Pitch Black. They did Silent Scream. It's a really fun film, and they say written and produced by the Wheat Brothers, but I'll be honest with you guys, they pretty much redirected most all that film. But they will always say that Denny Harris was definitely the director on the film, and like they didn't know a lot going in. So there were certain times when they'd say, "Why don't we just do this?" And he'd be like, "Don't you know anything about filmmaking? Don't you know anything about lighting? This isn't going to work." And they were like, "We were so stupid." But he knew, this was the only film he directed, and even though he wasn't satisfied with the original film, because the original film is a much different film. There's a different person that plays the lead, like the older lady, and in it she plays a killer that was savagely raped by a gardener, which unhinges her mentally, and she's this isn't like spoiling this one because it's a completely different plot for this one. And she's going around dressed up like as the person that's running the hotel, running the house, and because she's like this really great actress, and she actually has a mask on. It's the person that did it was a stunt woman actually. It was released in January of 80, basically they used like this makeup on her face that actually scarred her face. She had like a scarred up face for about 6 months. She sued the people behind the film because of negligence, because they used this like really old like style of makeup that actually got her face to be completely scarred. Luckily, it wasn't permanent, but it was still, it's pretty intense, man. This one again skirts. Well, I mentioned it before, but never showed down here last time. It skirts the giallo slasher, like it's a hybrid, and that is Curtains. Fantastic exploitation film. I won't have gone into this one a lot because I've actually mentioned this many times on this channel. If you want to see like Lynn Griffin, who played Claire in Black Christmas in a more significant role, then right here in Curtains you get to see her in this. Of course, we got, I think John Vernon's in this one as well, right? John Vernon? Got to make sure I'm right. I think John Vernon. Yeah, John Vernon, Smith Egger, Linda Thorson. Great cast. Definitely check this movie out. I don't want to ruin the ending or anything to you. So just know, check out Curtains. If you don't have it in your collection, get it. It's a really good film. Here's another one I don't think I ought to talk about a lot about. Because Al Sweet Alice is a very different film, and I get what you mean. Thanks, Andy. I'm just a big geek. Prom Night. The whole Prom Night series is really fun, but I'd say if you want the slasher Prom Nights, if like you're not into this supernatural aspect of Prom Night, which 2 and 3 gets into, then Prom Night and Prom Night 4 actually, Deliver Us from Evil, actually is a really good like kind of little slasher film. Original Prom Night's a classic. This is the best way to have it. Oh, I don't have Tower View. That is a good one though. We do now. After getting, having getting in like so many fist fights when we were kids because we weren't jockish. Now the jocks pretend to be the geeks. So there you go. The perfect example of an actual geek that is, this is the Synapse edition, and Prom Night's really slow, Jesse. I'm never gonna say it's not. But I think it deserves a rewatch, especially this edition here. It looks really good. The Synapse edition originally has this cover on it, guys. But it has a dual cover. So a lot of the Synapse editions and stuff like that have like reversible covers, much like Arrow does. So definitely one to check out. And even if you're not really look at all these features, man. There you go, Jesse. Look at all these sexy features. Documentaries, commentaries. Yeah. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of like times when I'll get like this movie, the artwork will be like super good. I don't have The Fan. It is a good one though. You're talking about the one with God, what's the name of the actress in that one? I don't own that movie. Is that out on Blu-ray? If it is, I don't own it. I saw it, like back in the day, I saw it. There's so many movies called The Fan, but I know the one you're talking about. I don't have that one. Popcorn, this is 90s, yeah. Or no, it is 90s, right? Yeah, 91. Really fun film, great cast. The story behind Popcorn is just as interesting as the film itself. This is one where you get the Synapse edition. You really should, because there's a great documentary called Midnight Madness. It runs 57 minutes long. I think there's a UK edition of this. If that also has a documentary and you can't get the Synapse one, go for that. But either way, this is one that does belong in your collection. Scream Queen, extraordinaire Joe Sholin was in a few of these, like Cutting Class and Stepfather. She's in this one here. She's the star of this. And she wasn't originally though, so one of the neat things is that she wasn't the original actress. The original actress actually got recast. Same master. Does that have the same like documentary too, Darren? I actually wouldn't know. Two Vinegar Syndromes. Perfect. Then you're good to go. Vinegar Syndrome, sorry. Two Code Reds. It's got Vinegar Syndrome in mind. Sweet 16. Do recommend this one here. Great one. It's got Dana Kimmel. Pre-Friday 13th Part 3. I guess this was kind of her... I think this was before Friday 13th Part 3. Because it's Dana Kimmel, although you see like a kind of a half-naked girl on the poster, you ain't gonna see Dana Kimmel naked. Nope, not gonna happen. Anyway, it says 16. You shouldn't be wanting to see. You're supposed to be 16. Now you shouldn't be wanting to see her naked at 16. Remember seeing this one? This one I didn't see in theaters. Actually, I saw this one. I missed this one. Actually, ended up seeing this one on VHS back in the day. But I actually really dig this film. I like Bo Hopkins. I'm a really big fan of Bo Hopkins. A lot of people don't know this. I'm a huge Dynasty fan. Yeah, that is the girl, Chris, from Friday 13th Part 3. And Bo Hopkins was in the first season of Dynasty. He came back later as a bad guy. The original Dynasty series. I'm an 80s kid. Of course I watched that stuff. Hide and Go Shriek. Again, I love this one. I do think 88 Films is one that put this out as well over in the UK. Probably the same as well. I've never met her in person. She seems like she'd be really nice. Yeah, Scotty, yeah, perfect. I think it's scan like on-camera interviews with the director, some of the actors, producer, unrated scene from the art print. Definitely check this out. I'd really like this one. I think it's underrated. Trying to go through fairly quickly, but just want to give you guys like some stuff from some different companies. Next up is Chopping Mall. Some people don't consider this a slasher because of what it's done. You're a Bo Hopkins fan, Jesse. You just grew coolness points. Like he's totally awesome. Chopping Mall has robot killers. It's not like a twist that it's got robots killing people. Is it a slasher film though? Yes, it actually is. It does like tick all the boxes for any slasher films. It just so happens that these slashers are killer robots with lasers in a shopping mall. I'd have to check. I got to check out those last two because basically for me, I want all the extras. And I'm actually going to mention a movie here that does have what I think is the worst slasher film of all time. It's so hard because when you think about it, Celluloid, what happens is that some of the worst slasher films can end up being the most entertaining slasher films. So when you say worst, then I got to think outside the box of like, what didn't entertain me as a slasher film? And I have a very low level of what doesn't entertain me when it comes to slasher films. I can accept a lot from the slasher genre. I'm trying to think of one that didn't entertain me. I can't think right now. Oh no, that's a different fan. That's their fan. That's a German film. It's not a slasher film. It's more of a thriller. But I do have that one in my collection. Silent Madness 3D. I don't remember that one actually. There's one called Scar that was okay, I guess. I don't really remember that much. The worst thing a film can do for me is not be memorable. I actually like Final Exam. I don't have it on my list here, and I originally didn't like Final Exam, chat. It was one of the ones I've said on there before that I didn't like, but I ended up liking it. Some films for me take a couple watchings. Cry Wolf. Okay, there you go. Cry Wolf. That is probably one of the most disappointing slasher films I've ever seen. It had a great cast. Corey Perfect. And but it was really, really it was beyond convoluted. Like super beyond convoluted when it came to Cry Wolf. Actually, I like Prom Night 4. I think a lot of people, I'm actually one of them, Mark, I'm going to talk about. I like Christmas Evil. I'm not sure if I like it so much in the slasher genre, but I do like it. I think that I like it as a Christmas horror film. Now, the next three that I'm going to show you guys are not your average slasher films. German one. For which movie, Andy? Because I missed what you were asking there. The Fan. I would go, if you can get the Mon Macabre release, I would go with that one. If they do or are you talking about The Fan, the 80s film? See, that's not where I'm confused. So there's an 80s film called The Fan, which is a good film. It depends on the price. Like I wouldn't overpay, but the Mon Macabre release is good. Like if you can get it for a good price, definitely pick it up. It's one of the Mon Macabre releases you should have in your collection. They're fan. Like it's not a slasher film. I will mention it, but it's It's a suspense film, and it's a slow burn too. So just know, yeah, Lauren Bacall. Next three slasher films, and yes, this one I recently got, and does run a bit slow at times, but I actually really love this film, and that is Absurd. Oh yes, the original Halloween 2. No, dude, it is awesome to enjoy the bad stuff. That's what makes it fun. When you can't enjoy the cheesy bad stuff, you gotta wonder. Joe D'Amato. And Joe D'Amato was a fun director. He did a lot of the Caesar stuff. But Joe D'Amato had his own production company as well. He actually did help other directors get films made. If anybody saw the movie Stage Fright by Mikel Suave, which I mentioned earlier, Suave, I never get his name right. He actually produced it. He helped other people get films made as well. He's very underrated actually. And this is a really fun film. This is actually the original Halloween 2 sequel. Next up is Psycho Cop Returns. Yes, I'm going to mention that other cop movie, but this is a really fun one. If this is a Vinegar Syndrome edition, if you don't have it, I really do recommend it. I didn't bring it over, but Jack Frost is also another kind of cool little slasher. But out of all the slashers that Vinegar Syndrome put out, this is one of my favorites. For some reason, this doesn't get talked about. It's really funny. It's done by Adam Rifkin, actually, and the guy that does it does a really good job. I've watched this one at least 2 or 3 times. There's some great featurettes on it. 43-minute making of documentary. I got to get Invasion of the Blood Farmers. I love that kind of that the retro looking rainbow-esque cover thing that it uses. I didn't get the Anthropophagus plush doll. And this here is Splatter University. Recently watched this one. Really dug this film. It's very different. It's very nihilistic. This shares the darkness that the Dorm the Drip Blood had. If you're a really big slasher fan, the girl on the front of the cover there, you see the model on the beginning of the cover, at the front on that cover there. She's not in the film, by the way. But if she looks kind of familiar to you, then you're probably a Friday the 13th fan. That's Robin from Friday the 13th Part 7. She was the model for this film. It's a really cool, really weird, really different film. It was much like Silent Scream. It was shot, and there were reshoots done for this film, and it kind of tonally imbalances the film. You got a slasher thing with comedy that's kind of more along the lines of Animal House style comedy coming in it. So it makes it go from just being a regular slasher to being something along the lines of Wacko or Student Bodies, with definitely a bit more darkness included. Now, I like this film so much, actually. This is one of my favorite, what I still bad slasher films, but in a good way. That I own, like Mark mentioned, I own both the Vinegar Syndrome edition, which I think is a bit of print, and the 88 Films edition, which has a feature that if you do like Splatter University, you're going to want to own. So this is the one time that I would recommend double dipping. I would always go with the Vinegar Syndrome edition because they just do some awesome stuff. But there's a great feature that you need on the 88 Films one. And I'll tell you what that is right now. Richard Haynes, the guy that directed this, the guy, told you he worked on Mad Men, stuff like that. Well, he also directed a movie in 2010 called What Really Frightens You. It's a cheesy, low-budget little like fantasy like thriller type of thing, and it actually I think it is region free, but I'll check for you. And it's a complete full movie, and it's on the 88 Films edition. There's also a good interview with Justin Kurzweil. What's really good, and with this here, is they have like some great interviews here. There's actually 2 commentary tracks. I got to check on the other one. There's an Asteria continuous commentary track on this as well. I'll check the other one to see what features are the same. But definitely, if you haven't recently picked up the Vinegar Syndrome one, I do recommend it. If you have picked up and you liked it, I recommend, they have sales go on all the time with 88 Films. Check it out, and get, both editions of that one there as well. Next up is my favorite film of all time, and that is the fantastically great Black Christmas. You guys know this is my favorite film, like slasher otherwise. This is my favorite film altogether. This is, of course, the Seasons Grievings edition of this that came out in Canada only. It is a really great edition of this. It has is a different This is the slip cover. This is the cover for the actual film, the Bob Clark Classic, and this is a mini Rue Morgue magazine dealing with Black Christmas that comes with this disc. It is awesome. It's just the late great Bob Clark. And bonus features wise, it's not too shabby either. This is the back of the disc if you want to. This is like the back of the thing. Tells you all the bonus features, the times, everything on there. So anybody later on, if you're watching this, you want to freeze it up and just check it out, you can. Scream Factory edition. I'll get that one as well because there's a feature on it. There's 1 or 2 featurettes that I don't have. Thanks, Mark. So it looks like Splatter University is region free. Oh, Jesse, this is my favorite movie of all time. This is my Christmas Eve go-to every year. And I watch this one several times a year, actually. Next up is a little talked about one that came out from Scorpion Releasing. I actually really like this one. It's a fun film. It stars Barbara Bach. And the first true slasher film. Bathe your blood, strip nude for your killer or torso. Well, all 3 of those definitely is a true slasher film. Like a lot of people will say, Psycho and stuff like that, and people say, well, Psycho's not truly like a complete slasher film, as in the getting all the tropes down there. What year did they come out? Black Christmas is definitely came out in '74, so that's gonna be an early one. Like Peeping Tom. Yeah, like we're going into the proto slashers as well. Blood and Black Lace. Blood and Black Lace is Giallo, Chet, so I wouldn't really consider that one like a slasher. It definitely like has one of the tropes that slasher films have, and that would be the body count. Do I like Legacy? Oh God, it's been a long time since I've seen Legacy, so I don't remember, Darren, to be totally honest with you. I think I liked it back in the day. This is one here though. The Unseen with Barbara Bach. Now, this is a fun little film, and much like Silent Scream, there's like this short like subgenre of slasher films where basically teenagers rent a house type of thing. Done in like the Friday 13th films, the later ones, but usually, some people, not always teens, like some young ladies will go to a house. I wouldn't consider Hershey and Lewis slasher. It's a kind of a gore genre on its own. Maybe proto slasher for Last House on the Left, but it's kind of like, it's more revenge. I wouldn't consider slasher films like a subdivision of Giallos. Same Steam first as a baby, exactly. But slasher films are definitely, like I said before, the slasher films kind of like they come from, like there's definitely inspiration from the giallo genre because they're very similar to the slasher genre. And much like before that, giallo films were very inspired by film noir, like the earlier film noir films and the darker, more nihilistic type mysteries. Those were what inspired giallos in the first place. You ask a lot of the giallo directors, the movies that they watched were those Fritz Lang films, the kind of the film noir stuff that came out back in the day, and that was like heavily influenced them. As much as the books did. The giallo name comes from. But slasher films like Friday 13th, The Unseen, Splatter University, they were definitely a product of their time, and definitely a really fun genre to get into. So I think my better half is home. Let me just check on something. I will be right back. So don't go anywhere. Talk about The Unseen and the splatter stuff. I need to check. So, I just had to check to make sure there wasn't a slasher in my house. And luckily there wasn't. It's my better half, home from work. The chicken killing. I don't remember that. I'm sure the chicken was eaten though. Yeah, I'll be right back. Low budget slashers. Initiation is an awesome slasher film. I got it here on DVD somewhere. I couldn't find it to bring it over, but Daphne Zuniga is in that one, and she's also in The Dorm to Drip Blood actually. And they're two great slasher films. She obviously has a bigger role in The Initiation than she does in The Dorm to Drip Blood. She's an early victim in The Dorm to Drip Blood. We don't see enough of her. So this is Orphan Killer. And this is kind of like really kind of the first of its kind. It was a movie. No, they're both set in kind of shopping malls, but not in the same thing. Initiation, Shopping Mall is completely there. Initiation just has that as one sequence of the film. But this film here was kind of one of the really first slash films to come out and to really be be marketed and supported through social media. So if you've never seen this film, it's actually really a fun film. I met the director and the lead actors, Diane Foster and the guy that played the Orphan Killer. What's really cool is this. There's an edition with a big documentary of it, like a steelbook edition you can get now. When I got it, I actually bought it from them, and I got the mask that the guy made himself, the director made, and it has if you're into kind of metal, and you kind of the indie metal scene, there's a really kind of a big indie metal track. See it there's 14 tracks on there. I did like Orphan Killer a lot, and I've definitely supported this film on for a few years. It will be. See, 13 Wolfman there being a knowledge of a fountain of facts. Important facts. Don't discount Orphan Killer just because it's done indie. It's a very fun one. Diane Foster, I expect to see more from her. She's gorgeous, and as gorgeous as she is in this film, I will be honest, I've met her in person, and she's even more beautiful in real life. She's such a sweet girl too. I told her that I had been supporting the film through social media, and I was a really big fan of it when I went up to the talk to them, And she like came over and she gave me a big hug, and she brought me over to meet the director and the guy that played Orphan Killer, because I was going there. I was picking up the movie, and I bought the mask too, and I think it was priced differently, but because I was online, and I knew it from online, they gave me this online special, which was really they were really sweet. So you guys have mentioned it. I mentioned it myself. The Dorm That Dripped Blood. Again, this was put out by Synapse. It's a fantastic little slasher film, very dark. There you get Daphne Zuniga right there. Look, Melrose Place's own Daphne Zuniga. A sure thing. She's not a sure thing. That's the movie she was in. It's called A Sure Thing. Again, one of those. This seems like it's going to be slightly weaker. One thing that is different about this one is the killer has really no serious motive behind it. He's just like he's killing, and he's killing like a lot. But I definitely, love the way this film was done. The other trailers, pranks, the ending. I always forget about her in Spaceballs. See, for me, the initiation, Melrose Place. I know from Melrose Place. Mark's mentioning one that I'm going to mention soon. So next up is Happy Birthday to Me. The Indicator release. This is the edition to get. Mill Creek's got a release there. It's okay. I originally thought that... Oh, really? Sarah, hook me up, hit me up on, are you on social media? Do you have any on social media? I will send you my address. Because I'd be interested in seeing, especially if they're like some indie stuff from your area, I would definitely like to see that. Now, Happy Birthday to Me, fan-freaking-tastic. Great film. If you've never seen this, please see it. Indicator put out the definitive edition of this. Beautiful looking. I love this. When I was a kid, I remember living in Ontario, and this being in the newspapers. Like at the back of the newspaper, they'd have all the posters for the movies, and this one really stood out. It is sort of in the movie. There's a murder done with the shish kebab in the film. Oh yeah, it was. This was on cable all the time. It was we got Melissa Sue Anderson from was it Little House on the Prairie, right? Trying to kind of break out of her her what she did before. A great cast too, by the way. We got Glenn Ford in this, Lauren Stain, a lot of Canadian actors here. Tracy Bergman is in this one. Lisa Langolis. If there's a Canadian horror movie out there, yeah. Now the edition that came out first, the double feature edition, has a different soundtrack. There's actually two soundtracks on this film. There's a later soundtrack was almost a more disco-ish soundtrack, but the original soundtrack was actually found later on. Now they do say that I did hear that the original soundtrack is on the later Mill Creek release, on its own singular release, but it's not on the double feature release, from what I've heard. But this edition of it here, we got the Blu-ray DVD of it. It has a great extensive booklet as well. But yeah, this was the poster art. This is what we got here in Canada, anyway. The next one is going to be definitely everybody's favorite classic slasher film, Satan's Blade. So this is so bad it's good. I have the slasher video one that came out a lot. I think that was done in conjunction with Olive Films. Such a cool, weird film. I really love it though. I've watched this a few times, and it's one of those movies kind of like things where it's super bad, but it is really bad. You've got to have this is not like one of those slasher films that you buy, like if you're a new person and you just want to watch a slasher film for the first time. You don't start with Satan's Blade. No, you get some slasher pedigree under you and some bad movie pedigree under you before you attempt Satan's Blade. You don't go skiing down the advanced hill first. This is a so bad it's good movie, and you got to know that when you go in. So, did I have part 1 here? No, I got part 1 here somewhere because I know it's put up by Blue Underground, and that is the Maniac Cop series. There's there on my face will be part 1. Years ago I saw Terror at 10 Killer. Was that put up by Troma? I do think it was like released by Troma. Like I saw it a long time ago. I don't remember it though. So I do apologize, but it's one that I saw a long time ago. I can even tell you the cover. I just don't remember the film itself. And when I saw it was back in the VHS days. So it's been a long, long time since I've seen that film. I would love to own it. I'm a huge fan of the slasher genre. So Maniac Cop 2 and Maniac Cop 3. This one's usually considered the worst of the 3 films. Great backstory though. Like many of these things, I'm a completist. I'm going to have all of them anyway. Oh yeah, because that was such a sophisticated movie there with Wolfman to get together. But yeah, check out the Maniac Cop series. Maniac Cop 2 tends to be most people's favorite, but I do enjoy all 3 of them. Next up is the Toolbox Murders, the original. And I really like the original Toolbox Murders. The remake is just, it's fun. It's very different. It has nothing to do with this. This actually is based on a true story. Well, kind of loosely based on a true story. Really good cast. We got Cameron Mitchell and Wesley Ewer in this one as well. I guess Wesley Ewer was probably best known at the time for Days of Our Lives. He played Mike Horton in one of the many Mike Hortons in Days of Our Lives. But or I guess the TV series Land of the Lost, if you know that show. Not the Will Ferrell movie, but the TV series was based on back in the 70s. It's a really good one. Yeah, he was such a good actor. They say everybody that worked with Cameron Mitchell always say he was really sweet, really nice guy, like super professional, and always like brought his A game. He you can see like movies with what's the guy again from Airwolf? Jan Michael Vincent, and he's walking through the roles. He's like, just I'm getting my check. Ice Cream Man, for instance, right? I didn't bring that one over. That's a great Vinegar Syndrome slasher movie, by the way. Also recommended. But he's walking through it like he's just getting a check. No matter what the movie was that Cameron Mitchell was in, he's not just getting a check. He's actually doing his best with whatever material he's given, and that says something for an actor. Some people, when they know they're in like lower budgeted films, they don't put their A game out. But Cameron Mitchell always puts his A game out, and I was really impressed with that. Yeah, so this scene here actually is in the film. For you people that are wondering about the extra sleaze, yes, there is like some pretty good nudity within this film here. Like one of the actresses was an adult film star, and John Saxon exactly the same way. No matter what he was in, man, like from movies to TV, he always brings the A game. Now, 2 British slashers. It is, but it isn't. I don't think of it as sleazy. I would love to own a Hack-O-Lantern. I had it in my hands, Corey, at Bay Street, but I didn't pick it up. Yeah, it has its sleazy aspects, but it's not known for being like super, it has a great plot. Toolbox Murders has a great plot to it. Next up are 2 Pete Walker films, and Schizo and The Comeback. Pretty much like I said, like they are definitely like British, kind of like Giallo style, but they both each have very strong slasher aspects to them, especially The Comeback. The Comeback is much more, when I think, to a slasher. This is a horrible cover for The Comeback, by the way. This is a really good movie, and this cover does not show what a good movie this is. Schizo, again, another fantastic film. Pete Walker's a great director. We'll actually get into him a bit more sometime on my channel. Next up is a classic Killer Kids one. but I'm going to include this one in slashers for today, and that is Bloody Birthday. No, unfortunately, sadly, 13th Wolfman, this is one of the ones that's not reversible. I wish it was. There's way better covers for the comeback than that. But Kino, that being said, Kino did an awesome job with their release of that film. Bloody Birthday, which I think Corey just watched. A really fun film. Actually has a little brief history of the slasher movies featurette on here, by the way. So if you want to get into see some of that, Justin Curwell, of course, did the thing for that. This is I go back and forth on the cover for this film. I actually kind of do like this cover because it's kind of sleazier, and I do like the sleazier covers usually. That's kind of my thing. Bloody Birthday. Now, that being said, I forgot to bring something over. There's an actual slasher classics collection. Give me a second. We'll do it really quickly because I'm clearing the end of my video. This is going to be important. Jodan Baker, maybe. I'm curious like this. It's like I'm going to start singing Tie Your Little Ribbon or something. Quick look at a few from the UK in the 88 film slasher classic collection, because for people that are new. Oh, you're talking about the documentary stuff? Boogeyman was fun. It was done back in the day, and it was like definitely a different one. So first off is Communion, otherwise known as Alice Sweet Alice, otherwise known as The Holy Terror, directed by Alfred Soule. Really cool, slasher film. Extremely creepy, in my opinion. Brooke Shields, a very young Brooke Shields, plays the first victim in this film. It's a dark, dark film, and I really do enjoy it. So, definitely, Alice Sweet Alice belongs in every collection. Next up is a movie that was recently remade, and that is Unhinged. I still haven't seen the remake, Mark. Again, a cool film, really slow actually. The first time I saw this, I found this one extremely slow. But I really got to rewatch it, look at it again. It's been years since I've seen this film. I don't think I've seen this edition of the film. I bought it, but I don't own this one. I got it some 88 films. I had to, Darren. Next up is a classic, and it is a classic in the cheesy, so bad it's good way. That is Nail Gun Massacre. If you want to see a killer slasher with a heavy Texas accent, awesome. This is so awesome. I've watched this so many times. I watched this with people. I watched this with my dad. He went home and bought it. He bought it the next day. Next up is Uli Lumo's The Boogeyman. It's a fun little supernatural slasher film. Really weird, really different. But still in the slasher film genre. In much of a way, Nightmare on Elm Street would be in the slasher film genre. I still want to see Boogeyman 2 come out on Blu-ray. It's really cheesy and super bad, but I love it. And Suzanne Love is in this. Of course, she financed these films. Great stuff. One of the great underrateds is Graduation Day, put out by Vincent as well, I think. I grabbed this edition of it right here. Yeah. Really fun film, really different. Final Girl in this one. She actually goes out of the film for quite a while, but she's really good. And Just Before Dawn is that's got 88 films. That's actually getting a new release from Code Red, isn't it? Young Vanna White's in this one here. Actually, a young Linnea Quigley as well. Because the actress that apparently played the role that Linnea Quigley played originally, she didn't get along with the cast, so they got rid of her and they got Linnea Quigley. But you can see the other actress that played it before Linnea Quigley did. If you look at the actual picture of them all on the near the beginning of the film, and they showed a couple times actually this picture of the whole like athletes. She's on it. I didn't actually the first time I saw Terror Train Livins. I didn't. So I'm not going to lie and say that I knew who the killer was. I didn't know. Nowadays, who wouldn't do? Oh, the girl did? Was that one of the reasons? She wasn't like well liked behind the scenes, I heard though. Hey, Michael. If I had to recommend one, well, my favorite movie is Black Christmas. So that's always going to be like my highest recommendation. But if I had to recommend one slasher film like to start with, it's I don't have it. But When a Stranger Calls is definitely high on that list. The Prowler is a great film, Chad. Happy Birthday to Me. Definitely, and not just because I live near where it was made, but Happy Birthday to Me is definitely one that I would pop there, like big time. Some people find The Prowler a little bit slow. I don't, but the original Happy Birthday to Me, the best school slasher. I like Graduation Day, really. Summer Pride Massacre is definitely a strong recommendation. 13 Wolfman is wrong there. I don't know if I'd go. I love Bloody Birthday. I'm not sure if I'd go with it as my first slasher film though. Happy Birthday to Me, The Burning, like those are all great releases. People will say, like Halloween. There you go. Corey says Halloween. The neat thing about this is, no matter what I say, there's like a dozen different answers here. So you have many ways to go. Slaughter High. Slaughter High is fantastic. Slaughter High is a great one. Why didn't I bring over Slaughter High? But it's one of those super cheesy ones. Hell Night. Hell Night's a really strong slasher film as well. And you want like a good slasher film where people aren't making stupid mistakes. One of the things that people like always say about slasher films is that they make, a lot of it hinges on them making the worst possible choice. Running upstairs when you should burn at the door, that type of thing. Hell Night, they don't do that. Hell Night, they make a lot of the smart choices, and they show you the smart choices don't always work either. Definitely Hell Night from Scream Factory is a great release to check out. Hey P Mac, welcome, dude. Mother's Day, early slasher one, pre-trauma. Really like this film. This cover here with the mom really creeped me out back in the day. Massacre at Central High, fantastic film. More of a revenge film though. Skin Deep. I've actually got Skin Deep over there. Don't Go in the Woods. So this, yeah, you got to watch this. Is she in it? No, she's not in it. So the guy that made this movie also made a movie called Lady Street Fighter. Oh, yeah. This is so Teddy Bear's Picnic music. That's true. It's so bad it's good. This is the definition. This defines the so bad it's good film, and it is so fun. I've watched this one so many times. It's insane how much I watched that film. If you want a police procedural type of slasher film, want something different that way, Drive-In Massacre. This is the alternate artwork here. Actually, is the police procedural type of slasher film, and pretty much is because the director, I think he used to be like a private investigator. He used to work and so he knew his stuff when it came to like procedural work. So that's why you get to see a bit more of the procedural side of it in Drive-In Massacre. Really good film. And this was recently put out by Vincent, who did the definitive edition. But I want to show off my super fancy, hard to get edition of this film. And that is Blood Harvest with Tiny Tim. And not just Tiny Tim, but Peter Krause. Looks like I froze up. So I know you guys can hear me, though you can't see me. Trapped Alive, I really got to look into it. There's a couple movies called Trapped Alive. I love the fact that this froze up on Blood Harvest. So guys, with the freezing up happening and me desperately needing another tea since it's almost 2-hour-long video. For you guys that stayed here for this entire time, thank you so much. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. Nice job of buying that one before it got recalled there, by the way. There's a lot more that I can do. Yes, this is a way to creep you out as the video ends. But yeah, I'm actually, for once, the Frozen thing works for me in a good way. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, the guide to slasher films. I'm sure I'll do an addendum on this one down the road. Not sure if I'll be on tonight. I'll try, but I have to be inspired, and I got to get some inspiration on. There's some guys that I want to do down the road. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am Aaron. You are the Movie Club. It's definitely been a pleasure, dude, and you guys rock. You guys are awesome. You make this. You make this awesome. Have a great evening.